Eric, let's look at some of the key issues that you've been talking about in the recent past. And I want to begin with getting a sense from you in terms of the next major trends or the next wave that you see in telecommunication. Telecom networks, mobile networks, fixed line networks, power the whole digital revolution that is underway. But lots of interesting stuff happening. So let's begin by getting you to tell our viewers about what do you see happening in terms of the major trends in the future.
So one of the big ones is, just like here in Davos, Sid, it's about how AI changes the way that we run networks, manage networks, deploy networks, but also how AI becomes an application, a workload on top of the networks, and you need to build a better network for a good AI experience. That's clearly one of the big trends for every one of our customers, readying their infrastructure for the new applications. Immersive glasses, AI application, your personal AI assistant, all of these things need a really good network, such as the ones that we have in India. So that's the number one. The other thing, I think, which is a trend more about how the business is evolving, because these applications, they actually need to be able to order certain characteristics from the network. That's where new business models connecting to the network through open network APIs becomes relevant. And when you can set the kind of quality of service or the security level, or you may want to have an advanced positioning information, when you do that from the application on a global basis, a developer in India could build an application that works in US, works in Japan, works everywhere else, because it connects to the networks, the local networks over standardized network APIs. That's a big change for the whole industry. So that's kind of the second big trend. Then there's lots of things going on inside the network as well, in terms of how we build a network, how we make sure that they're programmable and flexible and autonomous and all that. But I think those two are the really big ones. AI with all its facets, and network APIs and the new business models, making networks so much more easy to use for developers, applications, and of course,
I want to further get into the open network architecture, which I think is a pretty fundamental change from the manner in which networks have been rolled out over decades. And this was something that's been done earlier. Where does that initiative and effort stand? Are all the stakeholders on it? Is everybody coming together to make this happen?
I would say more and more. When we met last time, I think it was still relatively early days. We have some more customer of ours, big customers, that have embarked on this evolution of the network from, could say, yesterday's networks, today's high-performance network, to the very open and programmable networks of the future. So I think the momentum is there. We have the ecosystem building bits and pieces into this open horizontal architecture, to your point. But I think one of the learnings, which is so important when you think about why do you do these changes? Well, you either do it because you want to create more and new services, the innovation part, the growth part. And then openness is much more about these applications that run on top of the network. It needs to be open for business, the network APIs. Or it's about how you can efficiently run this critical infrastructure, how you can make it even more resilient, how you can make it differentiated, maybe between a public safety application and a consumer application and an enterprise application. And that's where the programmability inside the network comes in, the horizontal architecture. So I think we have good momentum in both of these tracks, both the usage and the network APIs, as well as how networks are built with horizontal open architecture. How fast will it happen, Sid? I think it's a multi-year journey, because most of these networks are built very high performant already today. So it becomes a gradual introduction of new technology, and therefore business reasons would sort of come over time. It's not a change out of something into something
Absolutely.
new. You do it step by step.
Explain this in the Indian context. Will it happen in India? And what kind of difference could it make to the operators if this open network system matures and gets fully implemented there?
So let's think a little bit about how fast India has come to the point where you are right now. It's still a world record, world reference for how fast you can roll out a really, really good, a world-leading 5G network in just months, less than 2 years. Fantastic nationwide 5G network. 270 plus million 5G subscribers according to our numbers already last year. By 2030, probably close to 1 billion 5G subscribers just in India. So of course it's a phenomenal uptake of 5G in India. Consumers. But now you start to see more usage outside of consumers. We think about all the households that need to be connected with broadband in India. Fixed wireless access is very much growing in India, using 5G technology, but of course with fixed usage. And then you have the smart manufacturing, you have the smart education, the hospitals, all the things that are digitalizing based on 5G and AI. That will of course happen on top of the numbers I gave there. So there I think India is already on a good path to build innovations on top of 5G. And part of the openness that you asked about is needed to do that. The programmability openness is needed because you need to be able to have one network, multiple services with different characteristics. And that's where network APIs, programmability with open internal architectures that help you to realize these virtual 5G networks on top of one and the same physical infrastructure. So India is already on that path towards openness, towards programmability, towards segmenting and providing differentiated services that makes business sense. So I think it's not a radical shift for India being such a leader now when it comes to 5G.